may not be able to see it, but around us there are tables dressed up to the nines for the Derby luncheon on Monday afternoon. And of course, each and every set of connections that came to Shelbourne Park tonight were hoping to book their ticket for the Derby lunch and indeed the final of the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. 11 became 6, and Kevin, it's fair to say we had our fair amount of drama tonight. 2 wonderful semi-finals, 2 wonderful heat winners, but that doesn't tell the full story.
No, it doesn't, but it was unbelievable racing. Just before we came on air, I said to you that so many nights we come up here and the race is over at the first bend, and take nothing away from them. They can be impressive performances too, like Coulivanny Hoffa showed up, 2 of them in particular throughout this competition, but you can't beat a race where the lead changes and there's a little bit of holding your breath at certain points of it, and we had that tonight in both semi-finals. Brilliant racing. We had some hard luck stories. You're going to have that at the semi-final of a derby. There's not going to be an inch given. It was unfortunate for certain connections. We've got 6 worthy finalists, and please God that they all stay well during the week and we have a great final here next week.
Yeah, indeed, we do have a wonderful final to look forward to. We'll talk about that in time. But first, let's take a look at the 2 semi-finals. And this opening semi-final, Kevin, there was so much talk. We knew where the dangers lay for the favourite Coulivanny Hoffa. We knew what could potentially happen. But even then, you know, Greyhound Racing is Greyhound Racing. There's no scenario you can perfectly work out in your head. And I hadn't worked it out like this. I thought it was going to be in the corner that the race was going to be decided. As it was, to a point, it was probably the third bend where the race was decided. Up the inside, up the outside, Born Warrior took another flyer. Like, this was a dog that wasn't a great trapper, used to have blistering early speed. Now he's all about the traps. He flew out. Coulivanny Hoffa came away racing. It was the 2 of them buckling it into the corner. Callaway Pro-Am edging inwards from trap 4, bumping Crypto Punk, which was always going to, or potentially could happen, cost Callaway Pro-Am ground on the early yards, and all of a sudden the outside duo were clear of the field. In behind, Crafty Kokoro had come away well. Too well. Yep. She missed her. She got trouble on the corner. She's forced to check off the second bend and into the third bend. It's all about the outside pair. It's Born Warrior, but Coulivanny Hoffa switches to the inside. He's a quarter of a length down, a neck down. All he has to do is hold his line, drive through, and he wins. And he's going to start favourite in the Derby final. He inexplicably checks. He's probably never been in that position before. Anytime I've seen him passing dogs, which is very rare, he's done that on the outside. He has his racing line. He didn't want to be in there, and it cost him his Derby claims. Meanwhile, Callaway Pro-Am has advanced into that third bend to be on the heels. We know what Born Warrior does off the last bend. Every night drifts wide. Callaway Pro-Am shoots through. Meanwhile, out of the clouds comes Crafty Kokoro. An unbelievable finish to an unbelievable contest. You know, it was always going to be a thriller, whatever happened, but by God it delivered.
Yeah, look, you could sort of go down a rabbit hole in this race, couldn't you? Like, if you went into the detail of every dog in this race, we'd be here for an hour. It was an unbelievable race.
I'm no rush.
I don't think anybody could have foreseen. Everyone said that Born Warrior on the inside of Hoffa was going to be the bogey, could be the danger, could end up putting him out, which it has. I don't think anybody...
Not in the way we thought.
If anyone said that Born Warrior cutting Coulivanny Hoffa at the third bend by cutting in, if they predicted that, well, they're a better man than me, because I genuinely thought out of the boxes Born Warrior took a flyer again. I thought Hoffa trapped well. I thought both connections would have loved the way the 2 dogs went around the first bend. There was no trouble. There was no Born Warrior holding Hoffa out and putting him out of the race. It turned out that both dogs got round the bend relatively unscathed. Going down the back straight, you're looking behind for Kokoro. Can she get up to be third against Callaway Pro-Am?
She's 2 miles behind.
If you stop the video halfway down the back straight, you're sort of saying to yourself, Callaway Pro-Am goes out here. You know, he's the one in third, and he's the one that Kokoro sets her target on. And then, at no fault of Hoffa, we watched the replay back just before we came on. Born Warrior takes the wide line. He has no choice but to go up the inside, and then Born Warrior feels him coming up the inside and just shuts the door. And it's just one of them stories. It's so unlucky for anyone that's backed Coulivanny Hoffa, and obviously the owners and the trainers. It's desperately unlucky. He's a brilliant greyhound. He'll have better days, I'm sure, and it was just one of those racing incidents. And then the unsung hero, the unbeaten dog, Callaway Pro-Am, who we've talked about as a lovely greyhound on this. He's gone unbeaten through a derby, eligible for the Puppy Derby, which starts next week. He comes through, he capitalises, much stronger to the line tonight. Now I know Born Warrior's going back a little bit, but Kokoro was in stride at that point off the last bend. She was coming, never looked like catching the winner. He really rallied to the line tonight. A much improved performance even from him. I know that's hard to say about an unbeaten dog, but and then Kokoro, like at the second bend she's out. Like I know we keep saying it, but really I felt she was. When she got squeezed at the second bend, I knew it wasn't going to be simple for her to get through at the third. She did get checked again at the third, and what was she beating? A length, and she's again 12 lengths behind at the second bend. It's incredible to see. I obviously I'm friends with lads. I've taught them after the race. I know derbies are won from the front. I don't think we've seen too many stairs in derby finals like this one. In the form that she's in, and we know when bitches come into form how difficult they are to beat. She is flying. Don't want to turn into the back straight with her too far behind.
There's just the right amount of early pace in the final for her as well.
There is. Like I know she trapped up well. The draw works out perfectly. I know the lads didn't really want her in one. She took a bad bump at the first bend in Limerick from one, and the lads reckon that that one has never really been her box since. They're much happier to be in two. Callaway Pro-Am, you'd imagine, will be gone up or on the inside. The draw is perfect. So many draws work out, and this could happen and that could happen. I think every one of the connections have their box. The race is set up for everyone to get a clean crack at it. Hopefully the best dog wins. But after this semi-final, I sort of had an assumption in my head. I said, Born Warrior is going to win the Derby. That's how I felt. With Hoffa gone, I said he's going to turn two clear off the first bend. I know that he's running off the last bend, but as I said, Derbies are won from the front, and then along came the second semi-final, and that theory was blown wide open again. So it's been that sort of a Derby.
Damn recency bias.
Yeah, exactly. But no, look, like I said, I could talk forever about this race. I probably am already, but yeah, brilliant race. Unlucky for Coulivanny Hoffa with 3 worthy qualifiers.
Just want to talk about Callaway Pro-Am. When we actually sit down in the cold light of day, we've seen the replay once. I've been in live television in there tonight. I'm hoarse. And, I was at a camogie match today, screaming and roaring at 10-year-olds.
Did you win? Did you win?
They won.
That's okay.
But if we actually sit down and look at it and really dissect it, I just got a glance. From the head on, they had a lovely head on at Virgin Media tonight, and he edges in. Callaway Pro-Am. He runs straight into Crypto Punk, and while it didn't look from the side-on angle like he's lost any real ground, he's lost a lot of momentum into that opening corner, and that's why he's as far behind as he is, because we've seen him rocket into the opening corner. It's notable he's on the inside in the final. He won't have to look for his line. He has his line straight up that fence, and he'll go like a white rocket. And we know that if he gets a sight of it, he gets a sniff of victory, by God, they're going to have to go some to beat him.
They will, and look, we've talked about plenty of them in it, and the one trait that we keep coming back to Callaway Pro-Am, and we keep mentioning it, and he'll probably need it next Saturday night, is his battling qualities. We know he's not afraid of a slugfest. He had it here with Coulivanny Hoffa in the earlier rounds, and for a young dog, he didn't shirk at all. He was well up to it. If this gets a bit dirty, he's well able to lower his shoulder. He's well able to take a line. He's not afraid of anything. And look, as I said, he's probably the most underrated finalist I can remember. I don't remember.
He'll be favoured.
He will be favoured.
Well, I think he'll be favoured.
He could well be, but I can't remember a dog that's gone unbeaten through a derby and still isn't the one that we're all wanting to be on. Like, he's done nothing wrong. Every week we say, we started out the scene 5 weeks ago, we're saying, lovely dog, nice puppy derby dog. Like, every week the challenge has been put in front of him. Every week he's conquered it. He's one more round to go, and I hope for connections, fingers crossed, he can do it for them.
Yeah, Owen McKenna had to wait, was it 17 years for a second derby success? He mightn't have to wait the full 12 months for the third one. Moving on. Well done again. Congratulations to Callaway Pro-Am, of course, to Crafty Kokoro and Born Warrior. 3 very worthy derby finalists. It is worth pointing out, while Coulivanny Hoffa was very unlucky in running, the 3 that got there certainly deserve their place, given their performances over the last few weeks. On to the second heat, and it was Comrades 1 and 2 into the corner. Mary's Wedding from Ballymacfin. As it happened, they came out of the corner the other way round. Ballymacfin he's a 73-pounder as opposed to his sister's a 66-pounder, and he used his frame. He got up her inside, led off the corner, and wins well. There was none of this fading home tonight or tiring. We suggested that wouldn't happen this week. You have to point out he's a 29.32 and a 29.36, and he could easily have done those runs had he not he came up a little bit. He's in the air a little bit at boxes. He loses a little bit of impetus and momentum there. Gathers himself up so quickly to get up the inside of Mary's Wedding at the corner, who runs a blinder in defeat, has to be said. Ballymacfin looked every inch a real derby contender. He's in 4 in the final, we know, from hindsight. But just the brilliant performance by him. We have to mention Droopy's Nice One because she's after filling the frame. Her progress in third means there's 3 bitches in the final.
Yeah,
3 and 3. I went back through the record books. Certainly the last 30 or 40 years, I've seen a number of finals where there was 2. I can't remember any final where there was 3.
Yeah, no. Well, I was gonna. That was my question for you. I was gonna put you on the spot. You're well able to do it to me. I look. Obviously, I definitely can't remember one. I thought you might have had one, but it's unbelievable, and every one of them is there on merit. Like Kokoro's been jumping through hoops since the competition started. Marie's Wedding, disappointed, as I've said a couple of times on these, me in the first round, but since then she's gone from strength to strength. She's gone up a lot quicker as well. And Droopy's Nice One, she is the most sort of under the radar finalist. She's not really, I suppose, grabbed any headlines, but she's just kept doing enough.
Her price will reflect that.
Yeah, she'll be 25 to 1, I think, is the early price on her at the moment. She's doing nothing wrong. She's staying high, wide and handsome, and she's doing enough to qualify every night. And Murty Latty, I'm not sure how many finalists, if he's had any before. I can promise you there won't a set of connections enjoy this week more. He'll live up every second of it, and right he should. So hopefully everything goes right and he can get to it. But what I loved about this race was the manoeuvre that Ballymac Finn made at the first bend. Like, we talk about Romeo Magico, I'll use him as an example, recent English Derby winner, and we talk about manoeuvres that he's making even in the English Derby final. The manoeuvre he made at the first bend to get inside Kildare was the winning of the race for him. A November 20 pup having his 15th race to go up, and like, when you watch it first you might think he just ran into 3 to hold it up. He literally rode the bump perfectly. He was able to nudge her out of the way while carrying his momentum into the bend. You just don't see young dogs making manoeuvres like that. He knew exactly what he was doing. He just stepped off just enough to move her off and cut the bend, and he was away and gone. I was fairly confident he wouldn't tie up like he did last week. Like I said, I thought it might have been just a freshening up job because he is such a young dog and he's doing everything right. I really liked him. The trap draw I think will suit him. He's definitely, for me, a trap 3, a trap 4 runner. The one concern you have is he has to clear Callaway Pro-Am by the bend. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, that's the winning and the losing of the Derby right there. If he doesn't clear him, he's struggling.
Yeah.
Second was Marie's Wedding. As you say, she just gets better and better. She's just doing everything right. I was willing to take her on tonight. I just thought Skywalker Barry might be coming forward a bit. He looked tired into the opening corner. You know, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but I just wouldn't be surprised if we've nearly seen the end of him. Maybe they'll bring him out Derby final night, I'm not sure. On the outside, Gord Kelly-Nestor. Gord Kelly-Nestor absolutely bombed out, and you're going, go on, Nestor, do it for Andy. And fourth again. Fourth in 2 Derby semi-finals. Like, it's just not fair.
No, look, I know it'll sting tonight, but I'm sure Andy will remember these memories for the last 2 years for a long time, and what a dog he's been. And look, the consolation next week as well, that I'm sure hopefully he'll line up in and run a big race again. But Marie's Wedding, she's trapping a lot better. I think she's running her races a lot better. This is a lady, like we said last week, who's broke 28 seconds. We know how hard that is to do. She's got the ability. She's flying at the moment, and when bitches come into form, they just seem to hold it, and they almost feel like they can walk on water, and she has a bit of an aura about that, like that about her at the moment. Bear in mind the bump she took at the first bend. She ran fierce well in defeat. And Droopy's Nice One, like I said, no one is recognising her. She's just creeping through underneath the radar. John Coleman and Murty Latty are in for a dream week, and they're just standing at the tee box, and they're pulling back as hard as they, and they're just going to let him fly, and whatever happens, because we've been in that situation. In English Derby, we were lucky enough to win with Price's Blake, and it was something similar. Like, everyone talked about all the other runners. The trap draw gave us a chance. You take your chance, and sometimes it comes off, and they'll be dreaming of that and enjoying this week, I'm sure. And look, a real good run from the winner. Brilliant runner up, and like I said, Droopy's Nice One. She's doing nothing wrong. She just keeps qualifying, and hard luck to Gord Kelly-Nestor and Skywalker Barry.
We've had 56 of our 57 races. There's less than probably 29 and a half seconds left, and yet there's so much still to happen, still so much drama, so many stories still to come. In the week, this Monday, when we see the Derby lunch, we'll hear the stories behind these dogs, and we'll hear their pet names, their little sort of quirks, their little anecdotes about how they got their hands on the dog, or what they were like as pups or whatnot. It's a very special week.
It is, and I've been lucky enough to experience it once or twice, and genuinely it's hard in the moment to sort of soak it up and enjoy it, because every night you're going to bed and you're running the race through your head, and during the day you're worried that everything is going okay, and you're sort of making sure that you're not trying to oversee anything and, oh, did he give a lame step here or there? So you just got to keep doing what you're doing and be lucky. And like I said, I just hope all 6 make it here next week. That's what we want, a good clean race and the best out to come out on top. But I'd like to wish all 6 finalists the very, very best of luck. Win, lose or draw, the Greyhounds have been a credit to them. They've been turned out immaculately, they've ran brilliantly, and fingers crossed now next week we'll all be here to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's strange to say it, like the winning of the actual derby is the cherry on top.
Yeah.
But like to get a derby finalist, could you imagine? Like, it's just an unbelievable achievement. Congratulations to all 6, no question about it. We have a tremendous final to look forward to. Callaway Pro-Am, Crafty Kokoro, Mary's Wedding, Ballymacfin, and then the 2 wide runners, Born Warrior and Droopy's Nice One. Your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts, look, I went with Kokoro last week. I'd still probably stay with her. Like I said, derbies tend to be won from the front, so I'm going against that, but I genuinely don't think we've seen a stayer like her in a final in a while. She's just never out of the race. I think if you back her, you'll always be there with a chance. And like I said, when I saw Born Warrior in the first semi-final, although he was third, my initial gut feeling was, with Hoffa gone, he leads in the final. And when you lead in a derby final, you tend to win. So, look, I could make a case for all of them. If I was having a punt, I'd stick with Crafty Kokoro, just because I think she's got a great makeup. What about you?
I'd be pretty confident that I'd be tipping 1 to beat 2.
Okay.
You know, just from the draw, I think the one early pacer that Kokoro does not want to get loose is Pro-Am.
Yeah.
You know, for obvious enough reason. I think he's strong.
Yeah.
He is very strong, and he will stick his neck out and he'll stick his nose down and he'll just
him.
do everything he can to win. There's nothing. He's a warrior.
Yeah.
You know, apart from being a classy animal, he's a warrior, and I just love him. I think he's an absolutely cracking greyhound. But I am really looking forward to this derby final. There are so many wonderful storylines there, so many wonderful greyhounds in the final, and I think whatever the result will crown a very worthy champion.
Definitely. I can't wait for it. I'll be here to enjoy it with yourself. We'll be up here. We'll be talking about it all week. And like I said, just I want to wish everyone the very best of luck. And hopefully we're in for a treat here next Saturday night. Be here.
We are. Be here. We're in for it. The final week of the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. The best week in World Greyhound Racing. I can promise you that whatever the result next week, it won't be disappointing. I can't wait to finish off this year's BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. We'll see you next weekend.